Right, now just over this side here, you've got another little bit of wall, so it just comes out. This is an entrance into here, into the building. You've got steps up. You can just see another bit of brick wall just behind that top there, and that wants to be darkened out. It's stone, the same as this. You can draw it in, but I would shade it down quite strong so that it frames this inner wall. So that wall comes out like that. Then buildings are back in the distance. Just frame that and shade it down just above there. Now what we'll do is, this is sticking out, so we'll make this prominent, the edge prominent, so quite strong underneath, so you get a darker edge, and fetch that dark out a little bit to the right hand side as though it's casting a shadow on here. So quite strong under that stonework, make it strong. Along here. So a lot darker just coming through this area here. Really putting pressure on with your pen. And into here, and then down that side. Now you've got some stones just coming along the sort of the edge of the wall, so like there you've got like a coping stone on the wall. Just draw them in, make them stronger underneath, and draw in some little bits of stones going out. Let it get paler as it goes out, because we don't want the hard detail out there. So let it get paler and less stones as you're coming out here, so we can just vignette that out. So drawing a few sort of random stones down there. Now, what you want off this is a bit of shading off that onto this wall. So just put some shading in by just dotting and dabbing into the wall, over your stones. And the closer you get to the building, the stronger the shadow wants to be. So the closer you get to the building, the more dots per square inch, say, you want in. As you're getting farther away from the building, the dots get less. So as you're getting farther away from the building, the little marks you want to be less, so the shadow gets less. The shadow doesn't want to end hard and then clear. So looser dots farther away. But the nearer you are to this corner, the stronger. So as you're coming into here, strong little lines. You're leaving gaps, but you're making them stronger, like little random strokes and dots into there. But as you're getting farther away, you make these random strokes less. So there's less in the area. So down there, little just bits of random, stronger nearer the actual thing that casts the shadow, which is this building. I mean, it's not massively out, but it is set out from that bridge a little bit. It actually stands on the bridge, but it's just overlapping a fraction there. So as you're coming along here, little bits of shadow, and take them around them bricks that you did round there. So take the shadow round, so them bricks just stand out a little bit more. So just take them around them bricks and dot the shadow down in between them. And less across here. It wants to feel as though it's across that side now. Now, you also want a little, you've got this bush here that we put in. So you've got this little feeling of light off this bush overhanging. It overhangs the wall and hangs down. So you want the feel of shadow off that bush. So just go behind the bush onto the wall and make the same sort of strokes as though you're making a bush, but just make them a little bit closer together, so it feels as though you've got a shadowy roundness to that bush. And then little by little, just dot these areas out. A combination of shading like that and a combination of dots. So what you're trying to achieve is a bit of shadow off this bush onto the wall. So you've got this light bush just here. Don't draw it dark around the outside because we want it to get lighter as it goes out. So you're just coming round here underneath and you're making a lot more shading by just gradually scrumbling into it with bits of strokes. And the farther away you get from the bush, the same as the house, the farther away you get from the bush, the less dots you put in. So as you're getting farther away, you're just putting less dots in. So you're just gradually teasing this down. Make it darker in some spots to look as though the foliage is broken and overhanging a bit in parts. So a little bit more darker foliage in here and there. But gradually just break these dots up as it's coming round here. So you get that feeling of an overhang of bush. Dot a few more down here. Even though we're going to draw these stones in, still dot a few little patches here and there to create that shadow of that bush onto that corner there. Right, these stones coming around here now. Draw these all the way around, and they curve and they go outwards. So they follow the curve, these sort of like keystones here. So make some of them broader, like that, some longer and thinner, and then just as you're coming down here, you just get a little bit narrow. They're not as tall as they're coming around. So you can have broader ones, you can draw in thinner ones, you can draw in shorter ones, and just get these all drawn in around this area here. They're just like random stones, just dragged in to support this bridge. So don't have them all the same. Make them a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, like that. Draw them all in round, and then we'll shade them in and leave them looking light in parts. Emphasize the edge. So as you're coming round, you've got to look as though you had a centre here. So all lines want to be aiming down to about here. So your lines want to aim following the curve of the bridge. So don't have them straight all the way down. Have it as though you've got a point down here, and every line is aiming towards that point. So if you had a point like that, draw every line aiming to it, and then draw one or two a little bit bigger just here and there, coming to the edge. And these will get lost in the shadow a little bit, but you just get them drawn in first. You're going to put a dark underneath to them, like that, and then continue on round this side here and draw the same. Some real thin ones here and there, and some longer ones here and there. So you've got some bigger ones and some really thinner ones in these areas. So different shapes, get them drawn in like that. And just fetching them down this edge. And then just a little bit smaller here and there, so they're not as tall as they're coming around here. So about there, start to make them just that little bit smaller, not as tall. You can make some of them fatter, some of them thinner. But what you don't want is them to be dead neat at the tops. So you want them to come in the same principle, aiming down to sort of a dot down here, so you're following the curve of the bridge round, like that. Just draw them in loose, very loose. We're going to enhance them afterwards. And now you're coming down into where the foliage is going to be, and round here you're going to have just a little bit of foliage just here hiding that edge of that bridge, just there, just overlapping. So these are just little strokes just overlapping these edges here. Now what you do is you draw in stronger on this side where you've got to imagine the shadow coming down. You've got to feel that you've got darker stones there, just being stronger, casting the light onto the stone to the right hand side of it. So a little bit more strength. We're not going to tone these down with dots or anything, we're just going to make them stand out a bit better from these. But you need to make them look as though overlapping the stone to the right of them. So putting a more downward feel, more emphasis on the underneath of these stones. So a little bit stronger round the edges, just the bottom parts of them like that. Now as you're coming up over the top, it's not so prominent because of the way the sun is. It's not got that downward feel to them so much, but just make sure you emphasise some of them a little bit on the right hand side so they do stand out from the neighbours. So just a little bit more emphasis around the right hand side of these stones. Now as you're turning as you turn over this side, the shadow is then on the left hand side because of the way the stones are, the sun's coming down. So up here, just a little bit lighter stonework, more stronger there. But as you're coming over and starting to go down onto the left, onto this left hand side, you need to emphasise the stone on the left hand side as though the shadow is being cast downwards. So you need to put a bit more emphasis on this left hand side. Just down there. Not massive detail, because this lot's going to go into shadow here anyway, but just making sure that rather than just a single line, you've got a little bit more strength on the bottom side of this stonework. Now I'll show you how to end the stones in a second. So just a little bit more strength down there. So it's really stronger over this side to make it look as though the shadows down, and really finish them off randomly at the edges. We're going to put some dark in underneath, which will help make them random. I've got these few stones in here to do next.